What's good, Cat Nation? It's your boy Cat, and I'm back with yet another snap. And we are about to react to this video. It's by Mzansi A-listers, and it's titled "Is Def Jam Failing Nasty C?" A look into Nasty C's performance abroad. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I don't know whether they're failing him or not. All I know is that ever since he signed with them, he's not as big as we thought he'd be, or as we hoped that he'd be. So yeah, I know that he has like a few hits, but then he's not like big international artist like Utonalabo Drake and but Travis Scott. And I think that's what we were expecting. So yeah, whether they're failing him or not, I don't know. I mean, it's the huge deal about it was the fact that he signed to Jay-Z's label, which we had high expectations. So yeah, this is an interesting one. Let's see how they break it down.
Even if you are not ready for the day, it cannot always be night.
Sir, flex like you work. Work six up like Mike. He's on the site. Woo!
And that said, I thought I was rich, I thought I was lit, I thought I was haggling. Then I came to the United States and the currency changed, now it's no more bragging. I said, fuck it, I'm back in my back then. When I come back, can't let that.
Nasty C's freestyles are fire. Like all the ones that he did, like Go Sway in the Morning, Tim Westwood, like all those freestyles are fire.
And so, when Nasty C signed with Def Jam, he became the first and only South African rapper of his generation with an international record deal. And given Nasty C's position in African hip-hop at the time, fans believed that an international record deal would help him break into hip-hop's #1 market, being America, which he has admitted time and time again to be aiming for.
Yeah.
What's up, man? My name is Nasty C, all the way from South Africa. I am in LA right now, trying to link up with as many artists as I can. I'm actually here to finish my album, but I figure here's the thing. I've always told my label that I wanted to kind of establish myself out here and be a part of the culture out here, and just kind of plant my feet in the scene out here, because a lot of the music that comes out of here, a lot of the hip hop that comes out of here, when I say here, I don't mean just LA, I mean the States in general. That's the music that really inspired my music, and you can hear it when you listen to my music. So,
like Nasty C sounds, especially when he's rapping, he sounds American. You can see the influence fell over. Yeah, he fucks with like the US rap culture.
I want to be a part of the culture out here, man. You know what I mean? And I feel like the most natural way for me to do that is to reach out to all the artists, not just artists that are like big and have made it and stuff like that, but artists who are on my caliber, and I mean out here, because I'm big back at home, but out here no one really knows me, so I'm up and coming out here. That's why I say, even if you're up and coming, man, just hit me up, And I wanna work with as many artists as possible. I don't care if I end up doing 30 verses, 50 verses. That would be even better. I would like that. You know what I mean? So if you're a dope artist from out here in the States, hit me up. My comment section, my DM. If you're in LA, it just makes more sense, man, because I'm here and we're gonna shoot the video. Same day, next day, drop the video. Next day, same day, it doesn't really matter.
But years later, fans have started questioning if Def Jam was the right label for Nasty C, as Nasty C's international growth hasn't grown to match fans' expectations, more especially growth in the American market, where South African fans had long wanted representation, as South African rappers only really dominated the continent and have had a tough time establishing presence in the #1 hip-hop market in the world. But for some time, fans had hoped that Nasty C's partnership with Def Jam would be the one to successfully break a South African rapper into that specific market. But things aren't looking good. You can understand this better by looking at Google Trends, which shows that searches for Nasty C peaked in 2021, but for 2022 and 2023, Nasty C dropped significantly, and there are technically no signs of improvement or even living up to 2021, which is very worrying, as Nasty C had just released an album. But even that album is showing no signs of impact on Nasty C's numbers, especially overseas. When you start to dig into Nasty C's listeners, you realize that Nasty C had listeners spread out through some continents, with a few thousand listeners in most US cities. But at the moment, cities like San Francisco, Denver, Detroit, Minneapolis, or even Vancouver and Calgary in Canada are back to zero.
So yeah, the numbers
literally
have dropped.
zero. The same goes for Delhi or Impal in India and some cities. And technically, yes, Nasty C still has some listeners in these foreign countries, but they are fast running dry.
Yeah.
With Nasty C's strongest base still being Africa, where he was already strong. In fact, strong enough to be the #1 rapper for a few consecutive years.
So nothing has changed basically. Salah signed up to Def Jam. That's what I'm getting from this. It seems like he's even like lost a few like fans. I don't know.
Arguments are being made about Nasty C's latest album, which is controversial because some fans are defensive about it, whereas some fans argue that it doesn't live up to the standard that Nasty C had set for himself. With regards to the label specifically, fans have started wondering if Def Jam had different reasons for signing Nasty C as opposed to what we had initially thought. This comes as the US hip-hop market is seen as having peaked and overly saturated, and fans now think that maybe Def Jam saw Nasty C as an entry into the African market as opposed to pushing him in the already overly saturated hip-hop market in America. More especially because Def Jam has also launched an African division in Africa for the first time and has been making signings. And this happened around the same time they signed Nasty C. Fans started having these thoughts when Nasty C said that he asked his label to help him with features in the States, but he felt they were taking too long to actually do it. So he ended up having to ask people himself.
No one knows I'm doing. I asked my label to do this for me. Excuse me, but I asked them to recommend like artists for me to work with that are up and coming, you know, so that it makes more sense. And I just feel like they're taking too long, man. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're overthinking it or whatever. I don't know. But they're taking too long. I asked my label, I asked a couple people that I work with, and they're just taking too fucking long, man. So that's why I wanted to do it like this. You know, I hope this video makes it to all the dope artists that are out here. And we get some shit done, man. I'm excited.
If they're not even like helping him out, then yeah, it seems like it was just a business move, just to break the African market, then set up their shop there in Africa, and then that's it. Seems like there was not planning to actually help him out because, you know, that they have the connections and they have the resources. Seems like they're not taking him seriously to a point where he has to go on, I don't know whether it's Instagram Live but then to create a video and ask artists himself. Yeah, and that's also not like a good move. I feel some type of way about an artist that just, you know, comes on live and like, hey guys, features, let's work. I don't know, I feel some type of way, especially for someone as big as Nasty C. Yeah, they're doing him dirty, Joe. If that's the case, they're just using him to break the market and then after them ban on the shelf and just put him on the shelf.
Let's get it.
And almost 2 years later, there's nothing to show for it. The results are just disappointing, as Nasty C holds the key to the African market as the leading rapper on the continent, which then means that it should be easier to sell Nasty C to most US rappers who are looking to diversify, as it makes more sense.
Like he's like not only the biggest African, but then also he sounds American. Like it won't even be a shift. He has the accent. It wouldn't be that hard to plug him in.
From a talent and numbers perspective, if an overseas rapper wants to enter the African market, there's not even one rapper that can offer the sort of reach that Nasty C has.
Joe.
For example, the biggest market for hip-hop in Africa is South Africa, and there are technically no more than a handful of rappers who have ever had 1 million monthly listeners, let alone have 1 million listeners for a few consecutive months. And Nasty C gaps 99% of the entire rap game in this country by over 1 million monthly listeners. But Def Jam seems incapable of getting this guy proper features. And this is just what fans think. And we know the thirst for African diversification is growing in the US, as rappers like Meek Mill have also come out on Twitter with requests for African rappers to feature. But Nasty C never seems to land any of these features, even though he's numerically more favorable for such. However, recently, Nasty C seems to have changed his tune a bit, stating that he now only wants to work with people who have a voice that fits his, although it doesn't mean the voice in literal meaning, but we assume whether or not the person would actually fit in with his style. in an interview with CNN.
I really don't want anyone to take offense to what I'm about to say, but I'm at a point where I don't really have a lot of people on my list. I was like, I want to work with this person. People are amazing, and I have favorite artists for sure who are just straight gods at what they do. But I'm okay with not having songs with them. I'm fine with just being a super fan of them. I just want to make music with people who have a voice that fits the song that I'm making. You don't have to be a so-and-so from so-and-so. I don't care about that. If I find your voice to be exactly what I'm looking for because I can't deliver that, whether it's the raspiness or the sweetness in the voice that I'm looking for, let's do a song. I'm looking at it as like a beat is a canvas for me, and I have to paint something on top of it, right? I don't care what.
And that's real. Like, that's real because a lot of rappers just feature anyone. As long as, they're getting paid, and as long as, it'll move the numbers, as long as that artist is big. So him saying that is real. It means that, he puts the music first instead of like the other stuff first.
Where the brush comes from. It's the paint that I care about. That's how I look at it.
And although that sounds musically wise, some argue that Nasty C may run out of time. Stats show that hip-hop is set to decline massively on a global scale. If Nasty C doesn't leverage his numbers now, he may actually suffer the same fate as most African rappers,
hip-hop is
like Sean
declining
Eagle,
already.
as new genres are emerging in Africa and are straight taking out hip-hop's market share. One label that seems to understand leverage is Sony Music, as they did to Tyler what they did with Tinashe. In
Vage.
Tinashe's interview, she spoke about
Vage.
how Sony Music linked her up with some of their artists like Chris Brown in order to get her name out there.
Yes, that was labeling.
Yeah, knowing you, it actually like hurts me that like somebody
Yeah, it
put you in
hurt.
that position and
And I was
forced
so
you to do
young
that.
too, which is crazy because I feel like I did that song when I just signed to that label. Like I was probably like 20.
Wait, Tyler even won a Grammy. Tyler has like the number one song like in the world globally, international hit. She won a Grammy, and that was like she's like 3 years into the industry, and Sony really pushed her. Like the fact Water and no hate to the song, but then that song is okay. That song for me, it's not like a hit song. It's not a song that makes me go crazy. It's just an okay song. But then the fact that they could take that song and make it a global hit with like a dance challenge, having big artists feature and remix it and have a verse. Like, you see what Sony's doing with Tyler. It's what we expected with Nasty C, One Talent. So the fact that Nasty C it hasn't hit that road yet, it's crazy.
20.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and I think the public perceives it as you doing
Of
that
course.
willingly and
Yeah.
not understanding that like you lack a lot of control in that situation.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you do.
The labels
That's
have
If
power.
any, like you probably like
And especially when it comes to singles, like for example that song with Chris, that was a song that I put, a lot of like, we all wanted it to be like this big moment, this big single. So I feel like in their mind they were like, you need this support. And he was like their biggest artist they had on Rhythmic Radio at the time. And to me, I was like, well, this is a pop song, so I really don't feel like we should put Chris on it. Like that, I don't like that. That doesn't compute to me. But I don't know.
The
And they
label
recently did the
decides.
same with Tyler, as they put it on
Yeah.
a tour in Europe with Chris Brown and ended up with a Travis Scott feature on a now globally successful hit, Water. And although many questioned if Travis Scott was the right choice, those who understand music understood that it was all a numbers game, as Travis Scott is one of the biggest artists at the moment, and all that pairing did help Tyler get a name out there. With regards to Nasty C, fans have noticed a whole lot of interviews that Nasty C has done overseas, but not all agree on the effectiveness of such. As for example with Tyler, the reason why many people watch her interviews is because she has a global hit song, and many people around the world are interested in the story. But when Nasty C does interviews, they're mostly watched by his own fans, which
Yeah.
basically means that the podcast that he's on end up gaining more than he does. All in all, Nasty C seemed to have had much bigger features before Def Jam, like A$AP Ferg or French Montana, when these guys still had some international market share, than he did after signing with Def Jam. And don't get this wrong, features aren't the only way to get in, but fans just don't think enough is being done anyway in any regard. All of these recent events have led to questions of whether or not Def Jam is actually capable of breaking Nasty C in these international markets. But equally, some question if Nasty C does have the superstar factor to make it out in these markets. And that is because markets like the US are spoiled with endless supply of talent. But you guys let us know what you think about this. Do you believe Def Jam is still the right label for Nasty C? Do you think they've done enough to actually push Nasty C in international markets? And do you think Nasty C has enough talent to actually stand out in these international markets, enough for him to actually become a household name? Comment your thoughts down below.
I mean, first of all, Nasty C has the talent. Like this was the coolest kid in Africa. Like he alone was able to become big in the whole Africa, to the point whereby, like he said, that he's gapping other rappers. So the talent, he definitely has the talent, and he definitely has banger songs. So I don't think it's a matter of talent here. To me, it looks like it's either Def Jam is not capable, or they don't care about him. Like they just signed him for the aesthetics, break the African market, set up shop there, and then do nothing else with Nasty C. And if that's the case, then yeah, it's a shitty move, and he probably has a shitty deal with them. So yeah, I don't know, but then it doesn't seem like they're doing enough in my opinion. But yeah, this was an interesting video, I will say. Yeah, definitely enjoyed it. So let me know what you think, and then let me know what else you want me to react to. But all right, peace. Peace.
Even if you are not ready for the day, it cannot always be night.
Surf, flex like you work. Work 6 up like Mike.